presentation of the doctor, and in this moment we would like to welcome Dr. Prashant Kumar, Indian Lawyer Association. Bom dia, amigos.
Here in Brazil. It's 11 years since then, and I had the privilege to attend each single forum and contribute my bit to it. So please bear with me if I try in this short address to share that journey. We, as BRICS Plus, cannot be measured merely by the arithmetic of our collective GDP. Our vast populations, comprising both the prosperous and those still striving for
População que ainda estamos correndo atrás de prosperidade. Isso parece, talvez,
as prosperity rises within the BRICS Plus sphere, it creates consumers, expands markets, and fuels the very engines of the global economy. The world's economic future lies in the prosperity of the global south. If markets do not expand, the global north will soon find itself with nowhere to sell its technologies, its services, or its goods. The circle of opportunity will bring to contract, as it has started already. It is this blindness to the future, in the relentless pursuit to dominate the present, that is creating a rupture, not only economic but civilizational. In Indian thought, Lord Shiva symbolizes destruction and rebirth, the dissolution of an old order so that a new one may emerge. From within the rupture will emerge new energies and new alignments. In this shift, BRICS Plus cannot be a spectator. We must be shapers of the new order. History teaches us that law follows economic energy. When trade thrived in Venice, law bore the stamp of Roman and mercantile codes. Over time, however, the Doge, the leader of Venice, and the elites converted trade into privilege and monopoly. Their refusal to adapt sowed the seeds of decline. Commerce moved to Amsterdam, from there to London, and later to New York. Each transition carrying with it a new vocabulary of law, maritime codes, corporate charters, contract law, and global arbitration systems. We must also remember that it was a corporation, the East India Company, that turned trade into an instrument of colonization. Its cannon fire was accompanied by the drumbeat of legal clauses, monopoly privileges, and extractive contracts. The legacy of this remains deeply embedded in the sanctity accorded to contract clauses in common law. One lives and dies by the text of the contract, even when it amounts to a Faustian bargain. That we have seen in some of the treaty arbitration cases across Africa. This stands in contrast to civil law traditions, such as in Germany, where good faith and fairness temper interpretation and performance. And yet, in international commerce and dispute resolution, the remnants of colonial era legal architecture survives most strongly in commercial and investment treaty arbitration. But today, the epicenter of enterprise and innovation is shifting once again to Asia, to Africa, and here in South America. For the first time in modern history, the emerging world has the collective scale and voice to shape the legal frameworks that will guide commerce, technology, and investment for decades to come. Yet economic power in our time is less often asserted through conquest and more through sanctions, asset freezes, and financial exclusion. Through control over enabling services such as maritime insurance, banking clearance systems, and currency networks. These instruments echo the monopolies of earlier eras, designed to preserve dominance. But paradoxically, they accelerate transformation. In seeking to hold the present, the old order hastens the birth of the new. As a historical aside, the Doge Enrico Dandolo, some similarity of name here, Enrico Dandolo of Venice, though aged and blind, attempted through decrees to restrict foreign traders and reclaim past dominance. It was in 1192 that he became the Doge. Landlords were compelled to evict foreigners. Lending to foreigners was prohibited. Maybe his goal was to make Venice great again. But Venice did not rise again. Economic leadership, once lost, did not return by decree. In our times, sanctions and artificial restrictions have similarly sparked innovation across the global south, driving diversification of currencies, regional payment systems, and alternative legal frameworks for trade. These are not acts of defiance. These are acts of sovereign maturity. The BRICS Plus community must therefore recognize that our challenge is both economic and legal. We must build a legal financial architecture that preserves sovereignty while enabling interdependence, where access to capital and markets is governed by fairness, not discretionary power. International commercial arbitration remains dominated by legacy institutions, products of an era when economic power was concentrated in a few centers. The BRICS Plus Legal Forum must serve as the crucible where new norms of neutrality, reciprocity, and professional excellence are forged. Every treaty, every arbitration clause reflects the balance of moral and economic power in the world. Law is not merely an instrument. It is the architecture of civilization. It defines fairness, builds trust, and balances power and justice. As we deliberate here in Rio, let us reaffirm that our purpose is not to resist globalization, but to humanize it. Not to retreat from interdependence, but to redefine it on terms of dignity, fairness, and shared prosperity. We who have navigated the deep waters of doctrine must not drown in the shallow pool of practice. Where reality strikes hardest as one approaches the shore, our success will not be measured by declarations, but by the institutions we build and the values we leave behind. Let this gathering in Rio mark not merely the continuation of a journey that began in Brasilia, but the beginning of a new chapter, where BRICS Plus becomes the moral and intellectual campus for a rule of law-based global economy. Om Namah Shivaya. May the renewal of the world order be guided not by dominance, but by justice, responsibility, and mutual respect. Thank you very much.